we start to pick shit apart though, because there's certain stuff that I didn't even realize when my first playthrough fully, or certain things that was going on. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why is this happening now instead of later? Have any of you seen Advent Children? No, it's okay. It's okay. I understand if you haven't seen Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. The reason I'm about to bring this up is because this. Pay attention to this. This was key art that got released. Oh, was this what? Either 2015 or 2016, something like that. Some key art that got released, and you know, something cool. They want to showcase, to show off, whatnot, and hopes, you know, people would appreciate it. The thing though that I even overlooked this shit too. Kind of. I initially saw this, and I thought it was really cool background and that. It's important key art. I was like, the thing with this though is Sephiroth has the black wings, the black feathers, whatnot, right? I've forgotten the original, he didn't have that shit. He has that in Advent Children. And you know, I was thinking throughout the playthrough of my remake, I'm thinking like, okay, why does this feather keep showing up? Outside of letting the audience know, okay, this is Sephiroth. This is Sephiroth fucking with Cloud. Anytime you see a feather, you know, a black feather, you know it's Sephiroth is nearby or fucking with Cloud's head and shit like that. So the reason this is important is because the Sephiroth in FF7 remake is a Sephiroth from the future. It's Advent Children Sephiroth. Stuff I want to point out here. All right, I'm going to be mentioning some stuff that Maximilian Dood has talked about, and I agree with. Easy Allies has talked about. IGN has talked about. Stuff like that. And just point out. Because I'm about to try and enlighten you guys on this shit. And why I am so crazy about this stuff. And why this is important to the story. Essentially what I'm getting at is this Sephiroth is basically kind of pulling a Back to the Future or a Thanos Infinity War Endgame type shit right here, because basically he somehow knows his original fate. Don't know how yet, but he somehow knows, because in this game it's this version of Sephiroth, and we have yet to meet the actual Sephiroth of the original timeline. So, why is that important? Because Sephiroth, like in the original game, is trying to fuck with Cloud, manipulate Cloud, but even more so, he's trying to manipulate other things in a way that fits his desires, his path that he's chosen. You know, his godlike power he wants to reach, because he is apparently aware that, oh, I fail, so no, I need to structure shit in a way that's in my favor. So that is something key right there that I overlooked. I didn't even think much about it. I kind of felt like, wait, ain't that kind of Advent Children stuff? I'm going, okay, why is... My thing was maybe they were just gonna have him be like that originally anyway, you know, but I had to think about that shit. Because I rewatched Advent Children recently, I was like, wait a minute. The other thing too is those, you know, those ghost type things that I call Dementors that are essentially revealed as being called Whispers. Those motherfuckers are potentially from Advent Children as well. I'll show you. This is an image from Sephiroth in Advent Children. All right. Where he's starting to summon this kind of like black cloud or whatever and shit. Okay. So we got that, right? The smoke. This is when Sephiroth is about to fight Cloud in Advent Children. So he summons a black cloud and he skies, right? And then the smoke comes down and shit. And the smoke and whatnot. Now you can't really tell too much from this image, but from what this image is showing, is potentially the Whispers. All right. And there's a part in the game where freaking Sephiroth in the Final Fantasy VII remake absorbs the Whispers, or the plot Dementors, whatever the fuck you want to call them, I call them Dementors because they remind me of freaking Harry Potter. And that looks like fucking Whispers. The plot freaking Dementors or whatever the fuck right here. Possibly. Let me see if I can find another image. Here's another image right here. So, another reason why this is possibly Sephiroth from the future, because it looks like he's already in control of these fucking things, man. And as we learned in the FF7 remake, as we finished the game or was playing through it, these Whispers, their purpose was to keep the original events of the timeline on track. You know, that's why when that one part, Cloud was sleeping or whatever, and there was a moment where basically the Whispers, or one Whisper I should say, was kind of like hovering above him, and it was something like sleep or good sleep or whatnot. I'm not sure if that was Sephiroth talking through the Whispers whatnot to Cloud. It was basically trying to keep Cloud from waking up too early. And then right out when he wakes up though, he goes out, you know, Tifa gets him and he goes outside, and they got these freaking Whispers that deal with their like blocking them. So we got to fight them basically, and it takes a while. It's, you know, it's a fairly fun fight and challenging. The whole purpose with that though is because the group had to be held up, so that way when they got to the plate, when it was going to eventually be, you know, destroyed and everything like that, in that, you know, that's when we believe Biggs is basically killed and Jesse's killed and everything like that. They had to wait because they got there too early. The timeline events would have been fucked up. And you know, these things were annoying at first to deal with too. I was thinking like, oh my god, like why are they in my way and this and that. So it's like there's moments where you think they're against you, but then they also help you out too. But they're not necessarily good or bad. They're just trying to keep the original events of the timeline going. And then when Sephiroth fucking absorbs them, he's like, nah, fuck that shit. We're not keeping the original events of the timeline going. We're doing this shit my way. Shit is fucking. There's more though. There's more. There's more shit. So something else of how this game relates to Advent Children. Almost forgot. Yo, Lady Lush, what's up? Thank you for stopping by, love. Thank you. How are you? All right. So something else I want to mention that's also related to Advent Children that IGN got wrong, in my opinion, and I have to agree with Maximilian Dude on this as well too, because he pointed this out. So this is something I did not do when I battled these Whisper, like sort of like three main bosses, whatever the fuck. I forgot to use assess. All right, but found this, and if you read the description here, it says an entity from a future timeline that is manifested in the present day. It fights barehanded to protect the future that gave shape to it. Now, we're going to take a closer look at this. All right, read that again. IGN, I feel like got this wrong, and I have to agree with Maximilian Dude, like I said, as far as him pointing this out. Because IGN, when I watched their ending explain video, they made it seem like these three Whisper bosses, whatever characters, which I will pull up here. Let me go up to the top. These motherfuckers, this is probably not the best image, but this is probably a little bit better. All right, these motherfuckers, they thought that the middle one was a future version of Cloud because of the one sword in one arm, right? They thought that the one on the right here was a future version of Barret, but as you can see, both arms have two guns essentially, and the one on the far left here has like a glove, so they thought that was a future version of Tifa, right? So but I believe, and I have to agree with Maximilian Dude on this, this is not true. This is future versions of the characters from Advent Children that basically have Sephiroth like genes in them and are simply locks. How are you? Sorry, Yazoo, my bad. The one with the two guns has to be Yazoo from Advent Children from the future, but in a Whisper type of form. See, he's wielding two freaking guns here, right? Okay. There's another image of Yazoo. All right. Sorry, Laws. Here's Laws. He's got to be the one with the freaking glove. And he's got to be. And then you got Kadaj has the sword. Okay. Sort of a weird kind of double-bladed sword here, but it's a fucking sword. So that has to mean these motherfuckers. These motherfuckers are the future versions of them, but they've somehow come back in time, because this is like the final boss area fight and whatnot. It's kind of Kingdom Hearts-ish a little bit. But they must have come back in time to try and either prevent something from happening or whatnot. That's why they're fighting them. And you got the big ass fucking Harbinger. I don't got a picture of him, but I can actually go into gameplay, guys, if you want me to. Show off some gameplay here from my stream. Now, you can't hear any audio because I got the music playing and whatnot, and I've got my original face cam covered up, but it's fine. The point of this is to show you guys what I'm talking about more so. And you got this Harbinger here, Whisper Harbinger, right? If you go watch Advent Children, those of you that got a copy or can get a copy of it, Vincent mentions Sephiroth or Genova, or both of them being kind of like a Harbinger. Think about that. And we're battling here. Let's skip ahead. But yeah, look. Glove, two guns. How the fuck is that Barrett? That's not Barrett in the future. That's gotta be freaking Yazoo. That's gotta be Laws. It's gotta be. Some crazy shit. So this is after they beat the Whispers, right? They're still in this weird void. All right, Sephiroth's fucking with Cloud again. Talking about a waiting Cloud. I'm bringing this up for a reason. I'll show you here. God damn, this is epic. So this was shown off earlier in the game too, at a part you didn't expect, where he's essentially got the Whispers under his control. This is where he's basically absorbing them. And now he is taking control of the Whispers. And I feel like this plays on the title of this being called Final Fantasy VII Remake as sort of a double meaning, because now Sephiroth has controlled Whispers, so now he's trying to remake the timeline. He's trying to remake the events of Final Fantasy VII in his favor. And this is kind of where it gets more Kingdom Hearts like, in a sense, with all this craziness going on. It's freaking insane. You got Cloud just cutting through shit. But I had to point that out though. And here you got Sephiroth flying down, ready to do battle. This final boss fight was fucking incredible too, by the way. Maybe it's here. Okay, yeah, this is when he powers up and he brings out his freaking wing there, which solidifies, this is fucking Advent Children Sephiroth. There's no other freaking way it's not. And the way he looks too, his outfit and everything like that. Now we gotta get into the Zack shit. Here, oh, real quick, I gotta mention this though. Wedge. Here's something that's interesting, because he's still alive, right? He doesn't die. But it's interesting, he's here, he's in the building, and look at what's about to happen. The Whispers are trying to stop him. He's trying to fight against fate. Literally. He's literally trying to fight against fate. And then we don't know what happens to him. Like, I think he's alive, but he says this, just tell me that I made a difference. Like like maybe the Whispers have taken him out or something like that and possibly pushed him out a window or something like that and caused him to die. We don't know. We don't know. Because we don't know where his body is or nothing. No, wait. Here we go. Never mind. Sorry. So here You got all the Dementor looking things outside. You got Zack right here. And I was confused. I was super fucking hype and shit. I was like, wait, that's gotta be Zack. Holy shit. But something is weird. Something's off. The Jagger out of the way, and this is what we get. And you got soldiers here, right? This is the part where in the original game, where the original story is, all these soldiers are around, right? And here you see the ghosts, all right, or the whispers. This is where Zack dies, but he doesn't really notice what's going on in Midgar. It's like he's oblivious to it or some shit. And it's crazy. This is where he dies originally, and this kind of alludes to the original plot point of like, okay, he has the Buster Sword originally, not Cloud. All right, and because he died, that's how Cloud got his Buster Sword. And that's where Cloud kind of creates these false memories and whatnot, basically taking on sort of Zack's persona a little bit, or taking on Zack's kind of past history and whatnot. What's going on is you got these two alternate timelines merging or conflicting with each other, fighting each other. It's fucking insane. It's freaking great. Like, and you know, Sephiroth's basically cutting a hole into this void, essentially to like, hey, come on, let's go deal. Let's basically figure this out. It's Destiny's Crossroads, where these two timelines are trying to fight for, you know, which one's going to be the real timeline of existence and what's going to happen. All right, so after we defeat Sephiroth, Cloud somehow transported into this weird new void here with Sephiroth, right? This ends up being the edge of creation. And once again, he's still being affected. It says, careful now. That which lies ahead does not yet exist. Meaning, time is not set. Meaning that there's these different like universes or multiple timelines going on here that essentially him and Cloud can affect, can manipulate. And you know, Sephiroth sounds like he's kind of talking in riddles right here. So what he's basically getting towards is there's a line. There's a line Sephiroth says. Says, let's defy destiny together, right? He wants Cloud to join him on his path, or at least to join him to an extent where he can use him for his own basically gain and whatnot, his own means. But that's not the line though. There's something else he says. So they fight in cinematic fashion. Skip this. 7 seconds till the end. Time enough for you, perhaps. But what will you do with it? Let's see. That shit right there. That is important because I've been reading a lot about this through different media and outlets where people are theorizing about this shit. And I remember, and they point out too that it took Sephiroth 7 seconds to kill Aerith. At least that's what a lot of people are believing that it pertains to or relates to. And what that possibly is alluding to is the future event when Aerith dies by Sephiroth's hand. He's fucking with Cloud like 7 seconds. What will you do with that? Fucking with his head like, are you gonna try and save Aerith? Or are you gonna let her die? At least that's what I think is going on with that. And then we gotta get back to Zack here. Alright. So now we're back with Zack here. He didn't die. And this is a different dog design too. He is alive. He is alive and well now. because of what the fuck Sephiroth has done and what we as our team are doing too, affecting the timeline. Or at this point, what we did do when we were in that void of fighting Sephiroth. Both Cloud and the rest plus Sephiroth are changing things, are affecting these timelines. And I believe that's the explosion that happens that was supposed to kill Zack. And now the Whispers are gone. You got this weird dust particles or where the hell falling down, right? And here's something else. Here's something else. That was a shock. Fucking Biggs is alive. Freaking Biggs is alive. Now, it's unclear if this is like alternate timeline Biggs, or if this is the Biggs from the original timeline that somehow survived. And now at least the question, is Jesse still alive? You know, what's going on with Wedge? This is Zack and Cloud in an alternate timeline. Both of them are alive. Cloud doesn't have the Buster Sword. Zack does. And it's like, what the fuck? What's going on now? I have some theories to get to later on about this. All right. So here's my thing with that. You know, we got Zack and Cloud alive in a different timeline. We are unclear what the fuck's going to happen in the future sequels and whatnot, as far as like what route they may take. You know, these timelines are fighting for existence, though. They're merging, sort of, or conflicting in some ways. And I wouldn't be surprised if in one of the future sequels, because the you know, the devs keep talking about they don't know for sure what it's gonna be. People keep thinking it's gonna be a trilogy. I would love for it to be a trilogy, but the way they're talking, it's not gonna be. So in this article on IGN, Katase, the producer of Final Fantasy Remake, talks about how you know, basically has, you know, no intention of making any drastic change to the original stories in subsequent games, basically. So nothing too drastic as far as that goes in terms of the overall story looks like, which is kind of disappointing, because it's like you leave us with that ending where it's like, you know, the unknown story continues. It's like, okay, but you say nothing drastic too much going to change, so that means possibly Aerith's still going to die. Who knows? They're trying to make, you know, the sequels kind of smaller portions, basically smaller types of games to get them out quicker to us. I know. Is that Nomura wants to, or like kind of wants to basically make smaller portions of this game for future sequels. That's kind of the news and sort of future talks or news about the future of this series and whatnot. They want to make small. He wants to do it in smaller portions, possibly like a few hours or so at a time, which I don't think would be a good idea, because I don't want to do no Walking Dead Telltale stuff type of thing. I would prefer them if they want to do, you know, smaller portions as far as sequels go. Maybe since this first one, part one, right, is a roughly about 40 hours average for most people to beat, right? Cut that in half. Make it like 15 to 20, 25 hours at most. You know, side quest stuff added in there or new things added in there. And I get he wants to release it out more quickly, doing it that way, but it's like also, okay, how are you going to charge for that? What's going to be the cost of that? Or is it going to be like a digital, like kind of like a season pass thing where it's like, okay, if you own a copy of the game, do you kind of add that episode onto your saved data? You know, we don't know. We don't know. This is my opinion. I feel like they should, if he wants to do smaller portions, then just cut in half, because you can do smaller portions but still expand upon the story, expand upon the lore a bit, add some new narratives and stuff like that and things to it, and still make an enjoyable ride. make it a solid 20-hour RPG. And then, because, you know, he says in this article about how people assume that's gonna be like a trilogy, and they really don't know how many parts they're gonna have. They have a rough estimate, but they cannot confirm what that is. You know, it's just not enough information yet, or just they just can't come to a decision, basically. Another guess of mine, what they could do with that, though, with making these multiple parts, is if they're not gonna do a trilogy, because they're gonna milk the shit out of this series. Square Enix is gonna milk the shit out of this. My guess is they might make it 7 parts. With it being Final Fantasy 7, have it be 7 parts, right? And which could mean we could be spending the next 7 to 10 years trying to go through this story. I'm just being real. That would kind of suck, but at the same time, it's like if they did 7 parts for Final Fantasy 7, that would be like kind of poetic a little bit. And we still gotta wait and see how they introduce, you know, these other characters, what new characters they might bring about. I know they added Roche in there, and I wonder if he's gonna come back. I'm interested in how they're going to introduce Sid, how they're going to introduce Vincent, in terms of how differently that might be. Yuffie as well. You know, what future summons we might get and be able to tackle and just fight and everything like that. Oh my god. The other thing too is that, you know, some people might think, okay, Aerith's not going to die this time because, you know, how they ended this game is like the unknown story continues, but yet they said in an article that nothing drastically from the overall story is going to change. So it makes it seem like that whole ending was in some aspects pointless, or just kind of like a way to throw us off as, you know, the audience and players and whatnot. And it most likely is. Because they could easily have it where, okay, yeah, you got Sephiroth who's trying to remake or manipulate time on his fairness and that, but have it in a way where it's basically you still end up having Aerith die, and that has to happen in order for the world to be saved, right? What I'm kind of hoping though is when the final game does come out, and we have to, you know, start our journey through the final events of the game or franchise, one on story. I want them to kind of give us at least 2, maybe 3 multiple endings, or at least give us enough of what those alternate endings could be, because I kind of want them to do a little bit of like a From Software type of tactic where they have multiple endings. They have like a true ending where Aerith has to die, of course, because that's part of the main story. But then have these like 1 or 2 alternative endings where basically there's one ending where Aerith lives and we see the results or consequences of that. Maybe a third ending can be where Zack lives still, Cloud is alive, maybe Aerith's still alive too. I don't know. Something they could also end up doing is having, you know, you play as Zack at some point in the, you know, in the future, one of the future sequels, and you fight Sephiroth, or there's a portion of the game where you play as Zack. Hell, maybe you gotta team up with Zack as Cloud to fight Sephiroth. Never know. For a new FF player, which game do you recommend to start with? This one. Because with Final Fantasy games, they're not direct sequels in the sense of where, you know, its characters are in the next game. For example, like Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 8 have different characters. But there are certain ones that have the same characters, like Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 13-2, Lightning Returns. That's a trilogy in Final Fantasy, where those have the same characters in each game. Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2 have the same characters and introduce new ones. So Final Fantasy, I recommend Final Fantasy 7 Remake. There's also the original Final Fantasy 7 you can get into. There is Final Fantasy 10, there is Final Fantasy 9 and 15. So yeah, my bad. I'm trying to get back on topic here. Okay, so another reason why I think possibly Well, maybe not possibly, but it's probably a for sure thing. Aerith's gonna fucking die. There's a trailer I need to pull up that pretty much almost guarantees her death. Here we go.
Perhaps it...
Right here. Right fucking here. Hence why I talk about there is probably almost for sure freaking Aerith is gonna die. You got the flower, right? Her being a flower girl. You got Sephiroth's fucking black feather next to it in that pond of water, whatnot, next to each other. Symbolism, chat. Symbolism here. I could be wrong though. I could be fucking wrong, but from what the report's saying, you know, they're not trying to drastically change up the original story. It's still gonna be FF7. They're just trying to. It's basically like how they get there is gonna be different in some aspects or in some ways. This is gonna be different. This pretty much almost guarantees though Aerith's still gotta die. But I still hope they at least give us enough of a tease or enough of a showcase of like what could happen if she lived. So I'm one of those fans like, hey, I'm cool if she dies or doesn't die. I'm not one of these fans gonna be upset either way. I love the story regardless. And I want them to take bold freaking risks with this remake, man, and the sequels, because it's a remake. It's not remastered. So I don't want everything to be exactly the same as the original. Personally, that's just me. That's just my opinion. If I want everything to be exactly like the same, then I would play the original game. I got it on PS4. I just got it on PC Steam, and I'm gonna probably play with mods that add better textures and blah blah blah. Character models and animations like that. And it's like, if I want to play a remastered version basically of that's a modded version, then there's that. You know, those of you that feel differently, you're entitled to feel how you want to feel. I'm just offering up or suggesting like, hey, why not have this remake be something different in some ways? It doesn't have to be 100% the same exact game you played back in 1997 or whenever the heck you played it. Doesn't have to be. You know, it's okay for them to change some things up to make it better. It's okay if they do maybe take certain things out, add some new stuff in. You know, obviously they're not gonna make everybody happy. They're just not. That's impossible. But why I bring up the fact that they could possibly at least have two endings when the final version of the game or final part of the game comes out is maybe that will make most people happy. To have like a true ending type of thing, and then have an alternative ending type of thing that you can get and just check out and see, and you know, maybe go from there. Who knows? Who freaking knows? But this is stuff to pay attention to. I'm gonna keep on it, and I've been having so much fun talking about it. I'm glad I was able to get this out of my system. Like I said, some of these ideas and things I've been talking about have come from different, you know, people and outlets such as IGN, Maximilian Dude, and Easy Allies and like that. And I simply agree with a lot of stuff they're talking about, as well as combining my own perspective on this. You know, it's very exciting. I love this series. I love where they're going with. I'm one of those people that wasn't pissed about the ending whatsoever. I really wasn't pissed at all about the ending. I was like, oh shit, okay. Like, I'm glad they took a bold, risky, you know, controversial move with the ending, because now everybody's fucking talking about it. That's smart, Square. That's fucking smart. You know, you got everybody freaking talking about this shit. You got people upset. You got people happy. You got all these different fan theories going on. It's freaking amazing. And I love reading about and hearing about different fan theories and what the sequels could be like. Oh man, I just hope they, you know, fix the battle mechanics a little bit more, fix that air combat, fix how summons work a little bit. You know, Easy Allies mentioned one of the guys on there. He mentioned like have like material loadouts, which I think will be amazing. Have actual material loadouts, that'd be freaking sweet. You know, once we get new characters and party members, maybe, you know, fix how to swap them out, I guess you could say. Because in Final Fantasy VII Remake, it always seemed like it was really scripted in terms of like, okay, you're about to play with this set of characters now. Now you're about to move Now you're about to move and play with these set of characters now to do this thing. It's like there was no really switch out party type thing aspect like how in other, for example, I guess Final Fantasy X did that pretty well. So yeah, I'm just excited and happy to talk about with you guys, and be talking about more with this in the future. We keep talking about this spoiler stuff and figuring out shit, and we go through the hard mode and play through this again and look through, you know, some of the Easter eggs and just listen to figure out shit more. It's like, oh my god. So I feel better now. I got this out of my system. But I'm excited for the future of this game, definitely.